As you are probably well aware of, the Golden Globes have completed yesterday. We have a new series of winners and potential candidates for the Academy Awards this year. So, let's get into it. Firstly, with the Golden Globes, it's really funny. Everyone says, oh, we don't take the Golden Globes seriously, but as soon as something wins, everyone goes, oh, that's sweeping, that's a lock for the Academy Award. And sometimes that is the case, sometimes it isn't. I do like to take some stock in the Golden Globes because they are definitely influential. And with this new voting body, it seems like they're really trying to align a lot more with critics groups and potentially trying to predict the Academy Awards, like the Critics' Choice. And because of that, I do think they did a pretty good job picking this selection of winners. There were sweeps that I really wanted to see happen. There were some upsets, some I am more pleased about than others. So here is my full recap of all of these categories, starting with some of the minor ones. Firstly, Best Original Score. There was really no surprise here that Oppenheimer won this award. Ludwig Göransson's score is pretty masterful, so I just feel like it's going to sweep the entire awards season. It's just that kind of score. It's really noticeable, everyone's listening to it, and it's already being kind of considered to be one of the best scores of the 2000s. Now, for Best Original Song, everyone kind of thought that Barbie was going to win here, but which song, no one really had a clue. It was either going to be I'm Just Ken or What Was I Made For? And in this case, Billie Eilish won the Golden Globe for What Was I Made For? It kind of makes sense. It's been on the radio everywhere, almost to an annoying degree. And it's just a massive hit, and it does have a real big emotional moment in the film. I'm Just Ken is a lot more fun. I personally would have preferred to have seen I'm Just Ken just because of that fun nature, and it's just an exciting song that's pretty funny. Ryan Gosling's great in it, and the fact that it's performed by an actor in the movie rather than just the song playing in the background while a scene is happening feels a lot more entrenched in the film to me, so I would have preferred that, but What Was I Made For was kind of expected as well. Best Animated Film was one of the biggest shocks of the Golden Globes this year, I think. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has been widely considered to be pretty much a sweeper, but The Boy and the Heron could have been a potential upset, and that proved to be the case here with The Boy and the Heron winning the Golden Globe here. Now, out of all of these, it is a very close race, and if Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was going to be upset by anything, I'm pretty glad that The Boy and the Heron was the one to do that. It was good that Studio Ghibli gets a little bit of a moment to shine, and it was just really, really cool to see that. I don't think that's going to translate to the Oscars, because the Academy is just not as fond of anime and that style of storytelling than the Golden Globes are. And because of that, The Boy and the Heron is a much more prominent contender. I still think it gets nominated for sure, but I don't know about an Academy Award win. This might be the only place that you see The Boy and the Heron win Best Animated Film. I could be wrong, but I just find it really hard to believe that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse doesn't take the Oscar. I'm going to quickly talk about the two supporting categories because I think there was really no surprises here. Divine Joy Randolph won for Best Supporting Female in a film for The Holdovers. Really expected. She has been sweeping all of the critics groups. I saw a graph pretty recently and her name just kept popping up everywhere. It was like a few slots where someone else won. So I really think this is the beginning of her sweep. For everyone that's seen The Holdovers, they're all pretty stoked about this. I have yet to see it. I will be seeing it hopefully this week. But from what I hear, she is fantastic in it. So really no surprises there. For supporting actor, we had Robert Downey Jr. And once again, to me, no surprises. It was really going to be between him and Ryan Gosling in Barbie. And honestly, usually I think the Golden Globes would have gone for Ryan Gosling and favored the more fun, light-hearted performance over such a serious, dramatic role as Robert Downey Jr.'s in Oppenheimer. However, it's an amazing performance. I'm really not too shocked, to be honest with you. And I really think that Robert Downey Jr. is going to take the Oscar, and this is kind of the first step towards that. In the lead performances, I think there was more that we could just really predict here. This Golden Globes was kind of boring in that regard. There weren't too many shocks. And that's kind of what I come to the Golden Globes for. I know they're really silly, but just seeing a real out-of-pocket winner is pretty exciting and just something fun to laugh at. So then when you get every single award show just award the same thing over and over again, it can get a little bit boring. And the Golden Globes is kind of starting to go in that direction now. However, I'm pretty happy with the winners, so there's really not too many complaints. I think Emma Stone winning for female actor in a musical or comedy was a fantastic win, a very well-deserved performance. I would absolutely love to see her go the whole way and win the Academy Award, but I don't think that's going to happen because of who is winning in drama, and that's Lily Gladstone, who won for Best Female Actor in a Drama for Killers of the Flower Moon. For me, I do think it's a great performance, but watching that film, it feels like a beefy supporting role rather than a full lead performance. So I do feel a little bit shortchanged there. I think that she would have been well better suited being in the supporting category and absolutely dominating there, rather than being in lead, because it just doesn't quite feel like one. If you've seen the movie, there's a massive chunk of the film where she's not there at all. So it is strange to me, but it is a fantastic performance. The fact that she's able to keep up with Leonardo DiCaprio, that is a massive achievement. So I think that she is very well deserving here. But for the Oscars, I would prefer a couple of other people, to be honest with you. For the male actor categories for musical or comedy, it went for Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers. Once again, pretty expected. It was either going to be him or Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. And Paul Giamatti is the one that's really getting talked about a lot more, so it kind of makes sense here. This could put him in a position to be a real serious frontrunner for the Academy Award, but I need to see the movie to be fully convinced myself yet. I still don't think that he is as big of a challenger as some of the ones in the drama category. And in here, he didn't have that much competition. Like, for me personally, I think the performances from Nicolas Cage in Dream Scenario, Timothée Chalamet in Wonka, Joaquin Phoenix in Beau is Afraid are all fantastic performances. I love them, but they're not the type of performances that awards bodies really go for. It was kind of a shock to see them nominated, let alone win. So Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers winning here, really expected. Alright, now we get into drama. Everyone on film Twitter is just shitting so much on Bradley Cooper, and I can't quite understand why. He really committed himself to this role. Yes, he's trying a little bit too hard in his campaigning process, but, you know, he really wants this, so why wouldn't you go for it? It just seems a bit strange. And in the Golden Globes, it would have been more expected for him to win for Best Actor in a Drama for Maestro, because it's the type of performance that they really like going for over something like Cillian Murphy's. I've always been convinced that Cillian Murphy is going to win the Oscar, and nothing has ever swayed me. I've seen both those movies now, and I just think it's impossible to really vote for Bradley Cooper over Cillian Murphy. And no matter what anyone has said about Bradley Cooper potentially upsetting Cillian Murphy, I just never saw it. The only place I thought it could have been possible was here, and it didn't happen. Cillian Murphy won, which, once again, more in line with the Oscars. It kind of feels very similar to Brendan Fraser versus Austin Butler last year, but in a more higher degree, because you had Brendan Fraser just kind of letting the work speak for itself, and everyone just really wanted him to win. It was a real feel-good moment. While for Austin Butler, he was someone who was campaigning his ass off. There was that whole thing that he was keeping the accent and everything like that. And in Maestro, you're kind of seeing a similar thing with Bradley Cooper in terms of, you know, he trained for this for 6 years and how much he really wants it, and talking about his process in the director's chair. All of it, it's just him really going for that Oscar. Well, Cillian Murphy is kind of a lot more laid back and, once again, letting the work speak for itself. And that seems to be working a lot more lately in terms of a campaign process than the more traditional route that Bradley Cooper's taking. Alright, this is where I start getting a little bit annoyed, and it's probably shocking to a lot of people, and I'm probably going to be rating on some people's parade here, but here we go. Best non-English language film went to Anatomy of a Fall. Now, that isn't really too shocking compared to what it's been going up against, but Past Lives was in this category, and I just don't think Anatomy of a Fall is as good as Past Lives at all. I don't think it holds a candle to Past Lives. So to see Past Lives get snubbed here was pretty upsetting personally, but I understand it. Both these films aren't going to be going for Oscars, so they really don't influence the Oscar race at all, because France was really stupid here for going for The Taste of Things over Anatomy of a Fall. It was just a bizarre choice. I will never really agree with their reasoning behind picking that over Anatomy of a Fall. It probably would have gone all the way and won the Oscar in that category, but it's not going to. It's probably still going to go to the Zone of Interest because that's just the most prominent contender in that category. Another reason I'm upset, and this has nothing to do with the awards, I put money on this category for Past Lives to win. I really thought it was, and the fact that it didn't really annoyed me, so that was another reason. Then the other one was Best Screenplay, and once again, I'm probably going to cop some heat for this, but out of all of the contenders, I personally feel that Anatomy of a Fall is weaker than every single nominee here. So the fact that it won here kind of pissed me off, because I really would have loved to have seen Poor Things, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Killers of the Flower Moon. I would have preferred Barbie. I would have preferred all of them to have beaten out Anatomy of a Fall here. I'm not the film's biggest fan. It didn't really work for me personally. Don't let me rain on your parade. If you're someone who loves that movie and is really happy for the screenplay win, I'm happy for you. But I was pretty disappointed in this win. I think it was a pretty boring choice out of all of the great contenders. I know Oppenheimer won pretty much everything here, so I understand leaving that out for just one category. But here you could have given Poor Things an award for its incredibly innovative screenplay. You could have given Past Lives an award for Celine Song's first attempt at a feature film being so monumental and so deeply emotional and profound. You could have given it to Eric Roth and Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon. It's such an epic film. Even Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach for Barbie, for making a film that you can kind of think about but is so accessible to so many people. Best Director went to Oppenheimer. Really no surprises there. I really think he's going to sweep, and deservedly so. When they said, when he won the award, his 6th nomination or whatever it was, and his first win, I was like, are you kidding me? The fact that this man has never won a director's award, one of the most innovative directors this century, has not once won, that blows my mind. And it's the same for the Academy Awards, if not worse. He's only been nominated for director the one time for Dunkirk, which is a weird choice for him to be his only nominee after all of the incredible work he's done. I think this is the time he finally gets that award, and rightfully so. He should already have 3 or 4 under his belt, but I'm happy that he's starting to get recognized here, and his speech was wonderful. I think a few people might have thought it might have been a little bit boring, but he really just gave us a really emotional speech talking about Heath Ledger and really crediting every single person on that film. Was kind of moving, and I'm really, really happy for him that he's finally getting the recognition he so rightfully deserves. Now, best film, I mean, no real surprises. I think in comedy it was more of a surprise because I was really expecting the Golden Globes to really push hard for Barbie, but they didn't. They really just gave it the popcorn flick, the big box office award, whatever it's called. I don't really care. They gave it that and kind of left it in that box, which was strange. I really thought it was going to take it home, especially with how many nominations it received. But Poor Things got it, and I love that choice. And I love it so much that I was really happy for it, even though I lost money. I bet on this category as well. I bet Barbie would win because I just really thought they were going to push in that direction. But Poor Things won, and I was stoked because I do think it was more deserving as a winner. A fantastic film that, if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you check it out. It is wholly unique and original, very bizarre, it's very weird, but I think it all makes for a pretty intellectually stimulating experience that is also just so entertaining and moving. It's funny. It just does so much. And to see Yorgos Lanthimos up on that stage with that Golden Globe with Emma Stone was incredible. Best drama, after it had swept the whole night, Oppenheimer won here. Really no surprises here. And I really think it's going to take it the whole way. You know, everyone is kind of saying, oh, last year the Golden Globes didn't hit on anything. Banshees of Inisherin won, as well as The Fabelmans. And Everything Everywhere All at Once ended up winning Best Picture at the Academy Awards in pretty dominant fashion. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think Oppenheimer is going to win the whole way. There might be a moment before the Academy Awards where everyone gets sick of it winning all the time and start saying it's overrated and start really talking up another film, probably Killers of the Flower Moon or something. And I still think Oppenheimer would have the legs to win. And that's my recap for the Golden Globes. I will have my full Oscar predictions out, I don't know when, pretty shortly before the nominations actually happen on the 23rd, I believe. Very excited to see that. There's still potential for some shockers there. Everyone's been talking up the Iron Claw, so there is potential there. And what I really love about the Academy Awards is that everyone is kind of trying to do their best to predict the Academy Awards, but they always do something kind of shocking that really no one expects. Stuff that pops up in the very last minute, and it's just really interesting to see. And I just cannot wait to see what they're going to pick this year. I think we're going to have a pretty good selection of films, but we'll have to wait and see. And I think the Golden Globes here have really cemented itself as being the first kind of step here for a lot of contenders. I think at least the ones that won at the Golden Globes have a pretty good chance of getting a nomination at least at the Academy Awards. But we'll still have to wait and see. I can't wait to see that. And overall, I think the Golden Globes were fine enough. I think the winners were overall pretty great, except for a couple I would have preferred something else. But that's the way it goes. You can't have every single thing that you want. It never goes that way. And I wasn't really expecting it to. Lastly, I just want to talk about the hosting situation for the Globes with Joe Coy. Everyone's been bagging him out on Twitter. And honestly, I didn't really expect anything different. The Golden Globes usually have a pretty poor host. I think Ricky Gervais was pretty good. And that's been about it. He's been the only pretty good host at the Golden Globes, and everyone else has been kind of trash. And kind of the same thing here with Joe Coy. You know, he didn't appear that much, so it didn't bother me too much. His opening monologue was a bit tasteless at times and didn't really work for me. And then you could see in some of the presenters that they were just kind of mopping the floor with him. I love John Batiste and Andra Day, what they were doing for their categories, just the liveliness they brought to the stage and the fun-loving nature that they have would have made for perfect host. That should be your Academy Awards host right there. Those two were fantastic. Forget Jimmy Kimmel. Let's get these two on the stage for the Academy Awards presenting. It would be a much better night. But that's just a little bit of a side thing. Let me know what you think about the Golden Globes. What do you think about these wins? Are you taking them seriously? Are you just kind of ignoring them? I kind of get it both ways, but I really feel like everyone is always going, I don't take it seriously. And then whenever something wins, they're like, oh, this person's a lock. This person is not winning. No chance. That's never the case. The Oscar race will be a little bit different to this. And once again, can't wait to see it. Let me know your thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.